Have you ever heard of a ghost army that terrified its enemies without firing a single shot? We'll get to that phantom force, but first, let's dive into the greatest deceptions in military history. Throughout the ages, victory wasn't always won by the biggest army, but by the cleverest. From ancient Greece to the modern era, commanders have used ingenious tricks, bluffs, and misdirection to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Today, we're counting down the top 5 most brilliant military deceptions of all time. These are the stories of how a bit of cunning can be more powerful than 1,000 swords. Stick around, because the number 1 spot is a tale so incredible, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. Coming in at number 5 is the ingenious Q-ship deception from World War I. Imagine you're a German U-boat captain, prowling the Atlantic. You spot what looks like an easy target, a lone, slow-moving merchant ship. You surface to finish it off with your deck gun, saving a precious torpedo. But as you close in, a terrifying transformation happens. Hidden panels on the merchant ship drop away, revealing powerful naval guns. Flags are swapped, and suddenly, this harmless-looking vessel is a deadly warship. You've just been caught by a Q-ship. These decoy vessels were one of Britain's cleverest answers to the U-boat menace. By luring submarines into a surface attack, they could turn the tables in an instant. It was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where crews of these Q-ships had to endure being shelled, pretending to be a panicked civilian crew, before revealing their true, deadly nature. It was a psychological and tactical masterstroke that made every U-boat captain think twice before attacking a seemingly defenseless ship. At number 4, we travel back to ancient China and the brilliant strategist Zhuge Liang. This story is a masterclass in psychological warfare, known as the empty fort strategy. Zhuge Liang found himself in a dire situation. His main army was away, and he was left defending a small town with only a handful of soldiers and officials. Suddenly, he learned that a massive enemy army of 150,000 soldiers, led by the suspicious General Sima Yi, was marching directly toward them. Annihilation seemed certain. Instead of panicking, Zhuge Liang ordered his few soldiers to do something completely unexpected. He had them open all the city gates, hide themselves, and he then sat atop the city wall, calmly playing his zither with 2 servants beside him. As the massive enemy army arrived, they were stunned by the bizarre sight. Sima Yi, knowing Zhuge Liang's reputation as a cunning and careful strategist, became deeply suspicious. He feared it was an elaborate trap that Zhuge Liang's main army must be lying in ambush inside the city. The sheer audacity and calmness of the scene unnerved him. Convinced he was about to be lured into a disaster, Sima Yi ordered a full retreat. Zhuge Liang, with nothing but his wits and a musical instrument, had bluffed his way out of certain destruction. For our number 3 spot, we head to the American Revolutionary War and a clever trick that helped secure a crucial victory for the Continental Army. It's the Battle of the Cowpens, a tactical gem orchestrated by General Daniel Morgan. Morgan was facing a superior British force under the infamous Colonel Banastre Tarleton. Knowing his army was partly composed of unreliable militia, Morgan designed a plan that played to both his strengths and weaknesses. He set up his forces in 3 lines. The first line was composed of sharpshooters, ordered to fire 2 volleys at the advancing British officers and then retreat. The second line was the militia, also instructed to fire 2 volleys and then retreat. Tarleton, seeing the first 2 lines break and run, assumed it was the usual chaotic retreat of undisciplined American forces. He ordered his men to charge forward, breaking their formation in their haste to pursue a seemingly beaten enemy. But this was exactly what Morgan had planned. As the British charged in disarray, they ran headlong into Morgan's third and strongest line, his battle-hardened Continental regulars. At the same time, Morgan's cavalry, which had been concealed, swept in from the side. The retreating militia had even reformed behind the main line, ready to rejoin the fight. The overconfident British were caught in a brilliant double envelopment. The trap was sprung, and Tarleton's force was utterly shattered. It was a stunning victory that demonstrated how a well-planned retreat could be the most effective weapon of all. Our number 2 deception is one of the largest and most complex in history, Operation Mincemeat from World War II. In 1943, the Allies were planning to invade Sicily, but they needed to convince the Germans that their target was elsewhere, specifically Greece and Sardinia. How could they plant this false information directly into the hands of German high command? Their solution was as macabre as it was brilliant. British intelligence officers obtained the body of a deceased man, dressed him as a Royal Marine officer named Major William Martin, and chained a briefcase to his wrist. Inside this briefcase were carefully forged secret documents detailing the fictional invasion plans for Greece. They then used a submarine to release the body off the coast of Spain, a country that was officially neutral but had many German sympathizers. They made it look as if he had died in a plane crash at sea. The Spanish authorities found the body, and just as the British had hoped, they allowed German agents to secretly examine the contents of the briefcase. The Germans took the bait completely. They painstakingly copied the documents and sent them straight to Berlin. Hitler became so convinced that the real target was Greece that he diverted crucial tank divisions and troops away from Sicily to defend the Balkans. When the Allies finally invaded Sicily, they met far less resistance than they should have, saving thousands of lives and shortening the war. It was a spy novel plot brought to life, a triumph of imagination that changed the course of the war in the Mediterranean. And now, for the #1 spot, the deception that was so audacious, so theatrical, and so effective it almost defies belief. Remember the Ghost Army I mentioned at the beginning? Welcome to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known as the Ghost Army. This top-secret unit of the U.S. Army had a unique mission during World War II, to impersonate other, much larger U.S. Army units to deceive the enemy. Their arsenal wasn't filled with bullets and shells, but with inflatable tanks, cannons, and airplanes, powerful sound systems that could blast the sounds of an entire armored division for miles, and phony radio transmissions. This unit of just over 1,000 men, many of them artists, designers, and sound engineers, could create the illusion of a massive force of up to 30,000 soldiers. They would arrive at a section of the front line, set up their rubber tanks, blast their sound effects, and create fake radio chatter to convince German intelligence that a huge American force was preparing to attack. This would draw enemy divisions away from the real point of attack. Their most famous performance came in the final stages of the war. In March 1945, they staged a massive deception to fake a Rhine River crossing, drawing German units away from the actual crossing point of the 9th Army. Their elaborate show was so convincing that they drew German attention and fire, allowing the real crossing to proceed with minimal casualties. They were masters of illusion, using creativity and performance art on the battlefield to save an estimated 15,000 to 30,000 Allied lives. The Ghost Army was deception on an industrial scale, a phantom force that haunted the German army and helped win the war. From ancient bluffs to inflatable tanks, these stories prove that in war, the mind is the most powerful weapon. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into military deception, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.